Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you know I've been having issues with lighting. And look, today we have amazing lighting. I can't tell you why. I really wish I could. I guess Mr. Sun likes me today. But I'm super excited that we have this beautiful lighting and you can actually see like real colors. So, anyway, I love my little sofa back there and the birds and then that picture. I fell in love with that picture years ago. And it's so beautiful. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about cleaning. So, the last episode, we had Cheryl on, and she was talking about eating the rainbow of food, which is so important. There's so many different nutrients in the different foods, and we get lazy and we go buy the same stuff, and it's, microwave it, or you go buy takeout, and or we buy just a box that, you just kind of add water and stir or something. And there's so much crap in it. I remember my mother always used to make her own macaroni and cheese. I didn't know what the blue box was until I was about 13, 14 years old. And I went babysitting. And the mom puts this thing to, oh, we're going to make macaroni and cheese for the kids. No problem. Then she gives me this blue box. And I'm putting it together. And I'm like, this is disgusting. I wouldn't feed my kids this for nothing. And I'm like, this isn't real macaroni and cheese. We get very territorial over mother's favorite recipes, but I was like, this is not macaroni and cheese. So that was my first introduction to it. And I think I may have taken one bite and went, yeah, no, my mom does it way better. My mom sometimes would, to spice things up, she'd put rich crackers in it. And I like that because it was richer than the saltines. And yeah, anyway, little trip down memory lane. So, so anyway, we're going to talk about cleaning. And we're talking about cleaning our body and cleaning our homes. And so about 2 months ago, I went on this program as a diet. But ultimately, there's no diet that really works because once you start going back and eating all the crap again, you're going to gain the weight. And it's been really interesting. I mean, I knew how much crap was in our food. And I kind of like, well, I'm going to do my best. And I really wasn't, what's the favorite? I didn't make a decision to stay to it. So I'm like, this course has been, a gradual process, learning different elements and taking different foods out at different times so you can figure out what foods are actually causing problems. And it's been fascinating to me to see how much I feel different because I'm literally cleaning my body out. We talk about self-care, but feeding our body with a bunch of chemicals and stuff like that, that's not really self-care. And it takes more time, yes. And it means you have to cook, yes. But honestly, I feel so much better. And it was very interesting because about a week ago, there was a series of things, and I realized I was doing it wrong. I'm like, okay, screw it. So my favorite ice cream place had caramel pumpkin ice cream. Does it get any better than that? And they change flavors every month. So I was like, okay, I'm on this diet. I can't have it. I'm buying a carton. And they're just little cartons, right? And so I said, well, when I get done, that's going to be my reward. Well, I took my reward a little bit early because I was like, I've already screwed up. What the heck? And so I did. And all the next day, I was angry, like really angry. I'm not about anything, just really angry. And this is, relatively clean ice cream. They don't put a lot of chemicals in it. They use as many natural ingredients as they can. And, I mean, there's, there's limitations to, like they use milk, obviously. Well, is it not homogenized milk? I mean, all this stuff. I mean, you can go way down the rabbit hole, right? But they're not filling it with chemicals. You go to some other places and, they're putting really ugly chemicals. Some of them have antifreeze in them. I mean, some ice cream I've had and I'm just like, oh, you take one bite and all you can taste is the chemicals. And it's like, yeah, I don't even want this. So anyway, I was really fascinated because I was like, I do not feel good. And, okay, it was over a couple of days, but I ate the whole carton. A little carton, but I ate the whole carton. And I was like, this is not good. And I love ice cream. I don't want to not eat ice cream. So I'm going to have to. At one time, I was the queen of cream. I made all my own ice cream. So I'm going to have to find a way to make it healthy because I love ice cream. But I have to figure out if it was the dairy or the sugar that was the problem. So the same place has dairy-free ice cream. So I have to see if that has the same issue. So anyway, our bodies are such optimum things if we treat them right. And this is our physical home, right? Our body home is this. This is our home. But our physical home, our house home, has the same problem. So I've talked to you a little bit, like after my dad died, a bunch of stuff came in my house. Oh my goodness. And like we had to clear his house out within a month. It was a lot. And just I didn't know what to do with it. It just sat in the living room. I couldn't look at it. I couldn't go through it. It was just, there's too many memories, too much painful. And it sat there for months. And then I'd get mad at myself. Like, why are you living with this mess? You know better. You know how to fix it. I'd yell at myself. And then I'd look at the mess. I'd feel even worse because I knew I didn't have it in me to face the mess. And occasionally I'm like, oh, I'm going to go do it. I'm strong. I can do this. And I might do a box. But that was it. And finally, I got somebody who was a organizer. And I said, I need help. And we were going through this stuff. And she's like, Jeanette, you don't need help. You know what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, I do. Because with you here, I have the strength to do this. Without you here, this might as well be Mount Everest in my living room. Because I get wrapped up in the memories. But having somebody else there who can sit there and say, it's a baseball bat. What are you doing with a baseball bat? You going to play baseball? No. Okay. We've got a cap that he wore. Okay. Does that mean something to you? No. Yes. Okay. But just her presence created that calm, that strength that I needed in order to go through the pile. And just having company. I had my sister come over once. We got through the in-house stuff, and then that was huge, 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 huge relief. And then we had to do the garage. I'm like, I got my sister to come over. I'm like, come on, you can help me. And that's what we did. We just cleared out the garage together. And doing it by myself was too much. But having somebody else there to help made all the difference in the world. And it's so important to declutter that. So just like I'm purging my body chemicals, I feel so much better. I can't tell you how many compliments I've got on my hair right now. It's crazy. I need a haircut so bad I can't stand it. It's in my eyes. It's doing crazy things to me. I don't know if people see the weight, but what they do see is that I'm not laden in all these chemicals. And I feel lighter and brighter and so much happier. And it's really amazing. And so, but the same thing happens. What we do with our body also happens in our house. And what I found interesting is like when we don't feel good, we go for sugar, right? We go for the cookies, the cakes, the ice creams, the candies, the pizzas. Well, all these things also make us feel bad. So here we have emotional bad, making us feel physical bad, and then you feel all bad. And it's supposed to make you feel better. It doesn't. So it's normal when life gets stressed, messy, crazy, sick. All these elements come into play. And what happens to the house? It gets messy. You know, right now the sofa's clean, but I was doing a bunch of paperwork a couple days ago. I had 6 different piles over there and piles on the floor organizing all the paperwork. So it was an organized mess. But I got through it, right? I got through it and now I have a nice clean sofa. So it's okay to make a mess sometimes to clean it up. But sometimes it's hard to see through the mess. And it's really hard to even tackle one thing. You know, I've had times when I just had my inbox and it's full of paper. I'm like, I can't look at it. And, you know, I sit down and say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this night. We're going to do, you know, you set up a time and you tackle it and it gets done. It's so important to be able to step outside of the emotions of the situation and clean everything. So people who are hoarders, it's not just because they keep buying stuff and don't throw stuff away. There's emotional attachment to that stuff. It's a psychological issue. And once you create a safe space for them to do it, getting a couple people in there, getting the help, at one point it just becomes so overwhelming they can't even look at it anymore. It's like, well, you know, they're feeling like they're climbing Mount Everest and I'm never going to get to the top. So why should I bother trying? And then Mount Everest just gets taller and taller and taller. We all have our own Mount Everest, whatever that may be. Now, some people, one glass, one dish on the counter is Mount Everest. Some people, you know, my sister, oh my God, I'd go over there sometimes. I swear, it was like something out of a Dr. Seuss book. She had the dishes 3 feet high stacked in the sink. I'm like, that would have been my Mount Everest. I'm like, where do you even begin there? How do you wash those dishes? Because they're so high, you can't get to the faucet. But that was okay for her. And so you have to know where your limit is, and you also have to know when to bring help in. And it's good sometimes to just move some accessories around. I got these really cool charger plates. They're so pretty. I was going to bring one in here. I forgot. Anyway, so charger plates can take the place. They're a little bit bigger than your regular plate, and it kind of creates a double plate. And you're not really supposed to eat off them. What they are is instead of a placemat or instead of a tablecloth, you put the charger plate underneath there, underneath your regular plate, and that protects the table from the heat from your food. And I found these really pretty orange ones, bright orange. They look kind of like flowers, like jagged edges, and it's lots of texture. And oh, it's so me, it's not funny. And I have these plates that I put on top of them. Actually, they go with all my plates. I have several different types of plates, and they go with all my plates. So I was playing with that. And one of the things I like to do is I collect teapots. And so I'm always moving the teapots around. So right now it's autumn. So I've got some autumn teapots. So I pulled those out and they got center stage, and I put some of my summer ones away. And It's an easy refresh. And it's a great way to tell your house you care about it. Now, maybe you've got autumn, some people have accessories for every season, and door stops, or maybe you've got some pumpkins you bring out this time of year. um, Play with that. It refreshes the house, and it doesn't take a lot of time, energy, or anything, but it's a little bit of, hey house, I love you. And it gives you a little bit of I love you too, because you're looking at something different. It's a little bit of change, and it's that refresh, and we all need that refresh. So go out and find some charger plates, and get something really fun. Leave them on your table all the time and set it up like it's ready to have a dinner. A lot of people don't even use their dining table anymore. It becomes a catch-all. And what's the mess do? The mess clogs your brain up here. Whenever you see that mess, you're like, oh, I can't face that. Oh, I don't want to do that. No. So have it set for dinner. Do you want to have more people coming over and entertaining them? Like, nobody really does that anymore. Like, let's go out to eat. Let's meet at this restaurant. Let's meet at that restaurant. Restaurant's nice, but there's still something wonderful about having people over for dinner. So set your table up like you're having people over for dinner. And then you're not going to get the mess piled up on there. My mother had polio when she was little, and she was constantly changing the house around and trying different things to affect our behavior. So if your dining table becomes a catch-all, have it set. Don't have to put plates on it. Well, in my house there's cats, so I wouldn't want the plates on it, because then the cats would get on the plates and I'd have to wash the plates, and that kind of defeats the purpose. But having the charger plates on there, it's very pretty, and it makes me actually want to sit at the dining table. So there's ways to play with your own mind to make the house feel more hospitable, welcoming. You think about going to a hotel. What do you feel when you walk in that hotel? When you walk in a hotel room, a good hotel, you'll get the sense of, right? A sense of peace, a sense of rest. And there is a sense of, wow, I'm on vacation. Well, hopefully you're on vacation. You might be on a business trip. But ideally, you're looking around this room and going, this is a place for me to rest. And there's a lot of tools that do that. Some places they'll turn the covers down. B&Bs, they really want to be homey, right? So they'll turn the covers down. They might put a chocolate on your pillow. Little details. How much does a Hershey's Kiss cost? Like nothing, right? But they put, or a little, Ghirardelli's chocolate, a little baggie. It doesn't cost that much, but it makes you feel special. So what makes you feel special in your house? Maybe it's time to go out and buy those beautiful glasses or some chargers. I got 6 chargers for $20. I'm so excited. I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple, but I'm so excited because it's totally changing how my table looks, and it goes with all my dishes, so I can sit there and play with them, and create different tablescapes, and I can just have fun with it. So have fun with your decor, and go out and get something that makes you feel good, that makes your house feel pretty to you. Because as your house gets cleaner, it's also going to affect you. So when you get to feel more proud of your house, when you get to feel, when you've got rid of that mess, and when there's a place for everything, like your brain doesn't get as crowded, because that's one of the first signs of stress. Have you ever looked around your house and like, oh, the house is so messy, I just can't think straight? And so what do you start doing? You pick a pile and you clean that. And then you pick another pile and you clean that. And sometimes it gets addictive. Like, well, I got two piles. The house already feels better. Wow. Oh, well, there's another pile. I'm going to go do that. Another pile. Oh, well, maybe I should start going through all the drawers. And like, it can become an all day thing. And other times it's just really hard. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to go through one drawer today. Just one drawer. That's my goal. Okay. That's my thing.
It's interesting that you chose to have this conversation today, and I'm going to tell you why it's interesting that you chose to have this conversation today. Because while I was getting to go to work, I was actually listening to you, and all along those lines, because that's what I do sometimes, is I listen as I'm getting prepared and everything. But as you know, my dad recently had heart surgery, and he's been staying in the rehab center. And on one of the visits to the rehab center, and he will be released on this Sunday to go back to home and continue his road to recovery. But on one of the visits to dad, he said something very poignant, similar to what you're saying right now, and that's why I said that this is interesting that you chose this as your topic today, because he said something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing him to some degree, but he's like, I know that neither one of my sons are comfortable with this and everything, but one of the things that I have decided that I'm going to do is streamline. So they'll have to come by the house and decide what they want to save, what they want to keep, and what they don't want to keep, because once you've had one of these kind of incidences, it gets you to think about your own mortality. And I'm sure that he's hoping to be around for a long time. And of course, me and his grandkids and his other son are hoping that he'll be around for a long time as well. But in that curing process and going through what he's been going through with PT and the OT, occupational therapy and physical therapy and everything, I'm sure that he and his lady love were reflecting on that. So I just remember that he said that comment. So as I was listening to you talk about spring cleaning, I'm like, yep, that's what Dad's planning on doing, because he's going to go there and figure out what he wants to keep while he's still here on this earth, and what we might want to keep as keepsakes or as things that we want to inherit should he leave this earth at any time or anything along those lines. And he wants us to go through that process with him, because he's basically saying that y'all need to come by and figure out what you want and what you don't want, because some of this stuff is going to the trash can. So everything. So basically, he's saying that if there's a book here that you remembered from your grandmother, or there's a thing that you really like I know that we might be fighting over this. There's a picture of W.E.B. Du Bois, who is a famous civil rights person and everything, and there is a portrait of him, because I think that he knew both my uh, grandma and granddad. So I think both me and Malik might want that, because I know that there were things even when some of the other grandparents left it. I think Malik got one of the cases, like the case that you put your dishes on, the big ones, and all along those lines. I've even seen you have on some of your shows and everything like that. But yeah, he was basically saying that we need to figure out what we wanted him to keep should he not be here anymore. So, like I said, this was maybe like literally 4 or 5 days ago that he had that comment when I was going to one of my visits with him, and then I was listening to your show, and you're talking about cleaning and people figure out what they want to keep and what they don't want to keep, and what they want their descendants to keep and not keep and everything. I was going like, was she in the room? Did she somehow be in the room and I didn't know she was in the room? She's all the way in California.
I'm
How
the
did she even
whisperer. So a lot of elderly people go through that, and then the kids are like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And I just had a car accident a few weeks ago, and I could have died.
Okay.
I'm very fortunate. There were some angels looking after me. I'm still here. All is good. But it really was a very close situation.
Right.
As a matter of, you know, a fraction of a second, I would not be here. And so I did reach out to a few people and say, is there anything you want?
Right.
I'm going to put a will together. I mean, I have a sort of will together, but I'm like, I need to update it. And so I'm like, and people are like, I don't want to talk about that, Jeanette. You're too young. And I'm like, you know what? I, nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. It's the truth. I mean, look at all these people in North Carolina. I mean, they like.
A lot of them have perished,
I mean, there's a lot.
and
You
they're
don't
still
know
finding,
the
they're
next
still
car
finding
accident.
bodies.
You don't know what's going to happen. No, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And so I did talk to a few people, and they're like, I can't do that. And I've had people ask me, well, what do you want? And I'm like, I, you know, I kind of blew it off sometimes too, and 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 part of it, there's an element like one of my friends. asked me, what do I want? She's got some amazing art in her house. Oh my God, she's got amazing art in her house. And I love it in her house. I don't know what I would do in my house.
Right.
And she's got some gorgeous pieces of furniture, which I'll tell you, I would love to have. I don't have any space for it.
Right.
And so like yes, there's things I want, and then there's an element of people are afraid to ask for what they want, you know, and it just depends on.
But Jeanette, isn't part of it what I just alluded to that I think Dad was implying that both me and Malik, which is my brother, are of the notion as well? Because I mean, in our heart of hearts, we all know that we are mortal beings and that we all have, as a good friend of mine, Ray Pascal, calls it, a beginning date and an end date. And it's what you're doing in that dash in between is what a lot of people use that quote and everything as to what the meaning of your life is and all along those lines. But that being said, a lot of people, whether not just your own mortality, but definitely the mortality of those around you. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So even though Dad just went through this intense heart surgery and everything, and definitely had to think about his own mortality and his own chances of survival and all along those lines. And I think that's what he was alluding to is the notion that a lot of times if you started figuring out what it is that you're going to keep, that means that you have to come to the reality that he might not be there all that time and everything. Even when they did the, I think I mentioned this to you before on a previous show. Even when they did the kind of prep party or the party for him before the surgery and everything, he kind of gave us this notion of, yes, I plan to survive this surgery, but if there are things that we need to get done, we need to get them done sooner versus later because there's no telling how longer is going to be. Longer could be tomorrow or next week or next year or 10, 15 years from now or 30, 40.
So he is in a good place, and I think you guys are in a good place. But I cannot tell you how many people I've seen who will not talk about death, don't want to believe in death.
Right.
It's not going to happen to them. Years ago, I was in a Bible study group, and there was a lady there who was in her 60s. Her mother had Alzheimer's for a long time, didn't know who she was, and so this woman, maybe this woman was in her 50s, but she, like, mom was well into her 80s, if not 90s, and every week, please pray mom gets better, please pray mom gets better, please pray mom gets better, and I'm like, there's only one way this lady's getting better, and it's not the way you want.
Right.
But she could not deal with the fact that mom was gonna die. Mom was a shell. There was nothing left of mom. Mom was gone.
Right.
You know, she didn't know she didn't know who her daughter was. She didn't know nothing. And 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 she was so afraid of letting go. And then when she did die, she came at home. It was such a surprise. Excuse me? I'm like, this woman's been in hospice for 3 years, and it was a surprise.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that are so afraid of death,
Right.
and we can get into psychologically why, but to me, I don't always succeed. What I try to live every day, like, like I may have a few clients that would be, loose ends, but I try not to have loose ends.
Right.
I mean, I'm in the middle of a project, so it's like, well, your sofa's in the making, or grapes are in the making, whatever. But I've always tried to live my best life as much as I can. Am I ready to go yet? No. But there's a lot of people that they're so afraid of what's on the other side, and try to figure out, this psychic says it's this religion says it's this religion says it's that. You can take all the major religions and you've got different versions of what's on the other side. I can show you 10 psychics that tell you something totally different of what's on the other side. You don't know what's on the other side. And being afraid of the unknown isn't
Because I mean, that's the reason for a lot of people do a lot of things. I mean, I'm convinced, and I've dabbled in this every once in a while. I was talking to another friend not that long ago, but I think that that's the reason. More men than women, but sometimes you women fall into that trap as well. But I'm convinced that the reason that some men go into a midlife crisis and even sometimes pursue women that are much younger and everything is because they are hoping that it will give them a sense of their own youth and vitality and all along those lines. Because I know that I've got a good friend of mine that has been dating now for a while, a young lady, and the young lady is they are in a similar field. So in that sense, it seems like a match that could be made in heaven. But there's definitely also 20, 25 year difference in age and everything like that. But they're both legal and able to think in terms of being morally correct and everything. Because, like I said, they're both elite. They're not like in the child range. Is what I'm saying. They're both like they think he's in his 40s, think she's in her 40s, and he's in his mid 60s. But there's definitely some similarities, but they have some commonality. But definitely, I'm sure that in their relationship, those age differences and generational differences come out as well. And part of that might be that quote unquote midlife crisis.
Well, I certainly had my own midlife crisis, but I think that I think that there's different ways we can be dead.
Right.
You know, you can be dead. All I do is I get up, I go to work, I come home, I go to bed, I get up, I go to work, I come home. You're not inspired. There's nothing you're passionate about. You get up, you go to work, you come home. That's dead.
No, that was a whole popularity. I don't know how much you follow, but I had a friend that used to have a show here on the network, and I've got some other friends that are in this space, including some that are still on the network, that talk about if you follow science fiction and you follow some of the dystopian views and everything, that's really what and I hate to use the term because some people think of it as a joke term, but that's really what the zombie apocalypse is all about. Because really
Yeah.
people that are going to work and just kind of like going through the motions and they're living their lives almost as if they were zombies. Now I know in the
Well,
monster version they are, doing ghoulish things like eating each other and everything like that, and all in that kind of cannibal version of the movie and the horror movie and everything. But the true notion of what a zombie apocalypse is what I think a lot of people are now. Because to me, and I've told you this before on other shows, the stuff that I do in media and even the stuff that I do with history and even some of the other things like event planning, all of that falls under a career to me. And a career is something that you are passionate about and that you love doing and that you enjoy doing and that you would do it even if you weren't hardly getting paid nothing. I mean, you get rewards, it's always good. And that's the way I feel about you and what I hear your passion around interior design. And as you know, I am not a big fan, and don't think I'm speaking out of school of this of testing. So when I work for the testing company, that's a job. It's something that helps me pay the bills, but it's not something that I have a deep passion about. I have a passion about education, but I have a passion about that type of education and everything. So to me, that's a job versus a career. And I think that a lot of people are stuck in jobs and not necessarily careers. They're just going to work just to kind of go, as you said, go through the motions, go to work, go and don't really have a care for what they're doing.
I think once you get to 50s and 60s, I mean, I'm experiencing this right now dating. It's like there's a lot of people that are kind of dead inside, and I mean, that was one of the reasons why I got a divorce. Is kind of dead inside. I can't, and so I think that is could be a reason why a lot of people do get divorced. Is one person just isn't present, isn't connected, isn't alive anymore. And so what do you do? It's easy to go for younger. I've had several guys way older than me, like, oh, it's dead. I'm like, you're nuts. I'm not.
You've had several older guys crack towards you.
I'm not going out with an 8-year-old guy. I'm sorry. I, it's not a question of if I'm going to take care of you. It's a question of when. And I'm not doing that. I want somebody that's closer to my age and that has a similar outlook on life. I mean, I watched my mom. She never gave up on life. She never said words I can't. Every day she enjoyed and she lived to be about 72, 73. My mother-in-law, she got diabetes when she was like 55, and everything. I can't do this. 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 And she just kind of shut herself in this corner where all she could do was sit and watch TV, and she was miserable for the last 10 years of her life. But she chose that, and she would argue that she didn't. Oh, I didn't choose diabetes. Oh, but didn't you? Because you ate crappy food all your life.
But you
And
I've
and
got
she didn't want to rectify anything. She still ate crappy food, and and she chose to go into this very dark hole And as a healer, one of the hardest things is to look at somebody and go, I can fix them, but they don't want to be fixed. And that's where she was. She did not want to be. She did not want to get out of this hole. And she was dead way before she was dead. She was dead inside way before her body died.
No, there's a lot of people like that, but I do have to tease you because I've been in that same space and you're in a similar age range and everything along those lines and everything. So I am sure that while you were teasing about the 80-year-old man, I'm sure that there have been some 40 and 30-year-olds that have also barked at you as well, and you're kind of going like, nope, I can't smother you and I can't be your mother as well, because I'm sure that there have probably been, just like you're concerned about the ones that are too old, I'm sure there have been some other ones that have been, because you have a youthful energy, some of those youthful ones that are probably, and you're probably sitting there like, maybe I'd be tempted, but at the same time, you're going like, nah, I'm gonna have to train you.
Well, you're right. There haven't been that many offers of that younger than me, but yes, I would feel that way. Yeah, it's like no, they'd have to be really mature. And you know what? No, I don't want to do the training. I don't like, and I think too, and especially with my history of not really being able to have kids, I I would not want to take that away from them. You know,
Right.
it's like if they're 30, 40, yeah, they're kids. Like there's stupid stuff that we just grew up with and we know. And I was at the chiropractor the other day, and oh yeah, I watch all these old '80s sitcoms, and I'm like, really? So, yeah, my dad had us watching all these things, and so I started naming a few, and I'm like, you're like what, 30? Yeah, 33. And I'm like, this is unusual for you to know all this stuff, right? And there's just some cultural things that you kind of want to have and play, you know, and there's an element of life begets life, and having somebody who's like, I had a friend who was 15 years younger than me, and we were good friends. I really, if he was older, anyway, doesn't matter. But um, there was a really good connection between us. But he was talking things like, I don't understand why Simply Red didn't make it really big in the 80s. But like, because they're just listening to the music of the 80s, going, "This is a really great song." Like they didn't know about all the 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 ins and outs of with the band feuds and how the media was
The
being
reason
done.
I'm laughing at that is
They
because
don't know any of that, you
and the
know.
reason I'm laughing, Jeanette, is because I was talking to a friend, and I have friends because of the media and because of just life in general, and because of also being active on social media and everything that cover the spectrum of ages. I mean, probably you got some that are school age, but I definitely, as a matter of fact, I do know because I got some college friends, but definitely all the way up to like the 80s and 90s. And I was getting ready to describe to a friend one of the tragic deaths. You were talking about Simply Red, and I wasn't going on Chris Christopherson, but I was going to go talk about John Amos and Good Times. And then it occurred to me because this particular young lady is probably in their late 30s or early 40s. So I was going like, I was getting ready to describe who John Amos was. And then it occurred to me, it's like they weren't even born when Good Time was on. So they would have no idea what I was talking about.
I was teaching a class at a community college, and we were talking about harmony, and I was like, well, Billy Joel. Billy Joel is a really great way to show harmony. And I said, well, you guys know Billy Joel, and not a single person raised their hand. They had no idea who Billy Joel was.
Right.
They had no idea who Billy Joel was, and I'm like, wow, I mean, I just like I thought Billy Joel was pretty universal,
I thought so too. So just like
and
I think that,
not a single person knew who he was. I was flabbergasted. And this was a long time ago. I mean,
yeah.
now, I'm not been on TV. Maybe now after his, but the kids, these were kids, so they didn't know. But
And even if they research it, they don't necessarily know because, like I said, now with Google and everything else, they can figure out who Billy Joel is, or they can figure out who. Because I'm a fan of John Lennon's Imagine, they can figure out who John Lennon is, or even Michael and Prince and everything. But reading it and understanding, like you just said about Simply Red, some of the nuances of what was going on is not the same as picking it up out of Google or Wikipedia or wherever else they may pick it up from. So that's what I meant. So even if I had described John Amos and everything, yeah, they might have gone back and watched one of the classic TV networks and everything and seen Good Times. But even sometimes the jokes go over their head because it's contextual to the times that the movie, that the TV show came out and everything. So yeah, they might get the corniness of say a J.J. Walker or something like that. But I mean, you got to remember one of the main characters was Michael, and Michael was a super radical, and a lot of people would have no idea what he's talking about because he was talking about things like Malcolm X and some of the super radical things, even though he was a younger character. Because I think he was supposed to have been in JJ was supposed to be in high school, so I think Michael was supposed to have been in junior high, if I remember the timeline and everything. But he definitely had picked up some of those super radical 60s and 70s ideas, where as a lot of the kids, even if they read about it, they'd be like, so Michael's talking radical, but I don't know what he's talking. There's no radical.
Well, it's like Archie Bunker couldn't be aired today.
Right.
You know, even some of the Three's Company stuff couldn't be aired today.
Right.
You know, and he was telling me, like, I was telling him that, no, that couldn't. And he's like, well, yeah, even with Victor Cooper. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, the way he treated mom. And I'm like, well, I was a kid. I wasn't really looking.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole
stay-at-home mom too at that age.
But there's a whole topic that is out now that a TV show actually kind of teased and made into a fun television comedy and everything, because a lot of people now are concerned and they have their issues, some rightfully, maybe some non-rightfully, because actually I got interviewed at HeyTai yesterday by a member of the community that I'm going to mention. But, you know, transgenderism is very I won't say popular, but it's very much in the news these days and everything. And really, wasn't that what Bosom Buddies was? They were pretending to be transgender. If you think about it, that was kind of the principle of the show. They were pretending to be transgender.
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid, but I didn't, you know, I mean, to me, transgender means you think you're the other sex.
Right, you're actually transforming. What they were really doing was pretending to be more transsexual, because they were pretending, if I understand the definitions, that they were doing more cross-dressing, because they had to cross-dress in order to sneak into the room. And
yeah, and Klinger was wearing a dress, you know.
Right.
So, you know, but and like you go back to like all the famous, like Abbott and Costello did something in a dress once. You know, we go back. Everybody's done something along those lines where they did the cross-dressing to be funny.
Right. Flip Wilson made a whole character about it, Geraldine.
Huh?
I said, I think it was either Flip Wilson or Red Fox. I think it was Flip Wilson did a whole character based on it, which was the character Geraldine.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, but I'm gonna look it up real quickly. But it was basically Tyler's playing a woman before Tyler, and I think
Tyler's grandma. What's the show? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Flip Wilson. I was correct. It was Flip Wilson. He would dress up as a woman, and the character that he would play in Flip Wilson was a comedian of, say, the 60s or the 70s, and sometimes he would dress up with a wig, and he would pretend to be Geraldine, Geraldine Jones. So there was a Flip Wilson character that he made. It was a fictional character, and it was Tyler's Medea before Medea.
Yeah. So
let me finish getting ready, but I just had to jump in because, like I said, when you said that conversation, I was going like, she was in my dad's rehab room. How did that happen?
I think we've gone off the subject enough. We can probably close the show pretty much. But I urge you, if you're struggling with clutter in your body and in your house, clean it, because you're going to feel so much better. Whenever I usually do, I've got a long house. It's not quite a shotgun house. Shotgun house means it's very long, and you can shoot from the front door to the back door. You can probably shoot from my front window to my back window. It's not quite a straight bullet, but it's a long house. And so I'll start in the back of the house, which is a bedroom, and, you know, the closet and everything one time, and I'll work my way to the front. By the time I get to the front, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of tired. Who cares? I'll do it. But like, if I don't do a great job, it's not a big deal, because 6 months later, I start the front and I work my way to the back. And when I get to the back, it's, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, well, if I don't do, the closet gets more regular. So
just really quickly before we do wind up and everything, what do you do if you've gotten used to your clutter? Because as you know, that's one of the things I joke about. I've actually got a friend that I need to take a picture of the TV that my boss here at the network gave me, as well as the refrigerator, because I doubt I'm going to use either one of them since I've already got enough of both of those. So I either need to sell them to Goodwill or give them to Goodwill, or I need somebody to come and pick them up. So I actually need to take a picture of them because one of my friends said that his sons may need them since one just got married and the other just moved in with his girlfriend. So I need to take a picture of those and everything. But I do know that sometimes I get very, I won't say attached to my clutter, but I get in that lazy mode where you don't feel like cleaning up and all along those lines. So then the clutter just becomes part of your personality and all along those lines. So I don't know what to do when those situations happens because I do know that I am somewhat of a well, not just somewhat, but definitely have my hoarding moments. I'm sitting here staring at some CDs that probably need to go on the skates and everything like that and everything. But what do you do when the clutter has become part of your existence?
So there's a couple things. Some people, like I said, I was going through paperwork. There's a huge mess here. I needed to make a mess to clean it up.
Okay.
And sometimes, for me, like once it's put away, it's done. I got to keep the paper out until it's done. Otherwise, yeah. So there is such a thing as an organized list. But what you're talking about is stuff that just kind of comes in and then you get used to it. And it's still the boiling pot because it's still affecting you.
Right.
It's still causing issues in your world. And you get used to it so you don't really see it. And what I say in that point is go walk around the block or bring a friend over, bring your mother over, bring somebody over who's going to be very discerning. And walk into yourself, walk into your house and pretend it's a house you've never been. And it's not your house because you get used to the stuff, right? So pretend that you've never been in this house and notice how it feels like, oh, there's that pile in the corner. I need to get rid of that. And do it. And if that's too hard, we all have that one person in our life who's very happy to tell us what we did wrong and bring them over. Or you can call like me, a designer, and there's no judgment, but how do we make it better? You know, we're going to make this better and make this a place you love to live in, you know? So that's what I would say. But it is, you realize it is just a symptom of a bigger problem. And once you address, and sometimes you can fix the clutter to fix the bigger problem. Sometimes you have to fix the bigger problem to fix the clutter. And so just know that it's not just because you're lazy. You're not. There's something else going on. You kind of like to have a lot of balls in the air and have a lot of different things going on. And you need that change going on in your life. Some people would look at your world and you've got all these different jobs and different careers and you're doing this and that and they go, oh my God, how could I ever, like that would drive them crazy.
Right.
But this is what makes you thrive. So being aware of what makes you thrive, what makes you feel good, and the art and the music, and the events and working for the center, these are passions for you.
Yeah, there's definitely a passion. And ironically, as you know, because I'm still in that single space, there may be folks that I flirt with and things like that and everything. But that is what some of the ladies in my life have said, which is what you just said, because they hear the passion of all the things that I'm involved in. They know that I'm involved in everything, and they ask a very simple question that I really oftentimes don't have a adequate answer for. I know what the answer should be, and I try to make that the answer. But the question that many a woman has asked is, and where do I fit in this? Meaning, when do you have time for me and everything because of the passion of the other jobs and them taking so much of my time? Because I've been asked that several times, including some relationships that I've been in and some relationships that I've considered being in because they're going like, and where do I fit in this?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to be number two. And
nobody wants to
be number two. And they want to feel like they're your first priority. And not that you shouldn't have all these passion projects,
right.
But they just want to make sure that yes, there's time for them. And it's like, they want more than just you sleeping in the bed next to them. Like that's when it's cold, but there's more than one.
Yeah.
And for you having somebody who is also very busy and maybe they work. I always say the center wrong. ITAC, ITAC, 80, ITAC,
Hey, Ty. Hey, Ty.
ITAC. So, maybe it's somebody who works there and it has the same passion, and you get to see each other at work, and then you can all, you can have issues outside. I don't know. I'm failing that whole department myself.
Yeah, like I said, and well, the issue that can come with that is that, as you know, yeah, because I've seen it in my own life, is that it in theory can work, but I think that somebody maybe in the arts or a fellow person in the arts that would probably work better than somebody that you work with, because then there's that danger that police couples and doctor couples and other couples run to, which is bringing work home and home work and everything, because that kind of like that separation thing that sometimes people get frustrated by as well, because they don't want to feel like they are bringing the work home if they share the same work offices or things like that. Because I've seen that even with
You
doctors.
have to keep the boundaries. You have to keep the boundaries for sure.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, but the thing is too, we all get 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
We do. And if somebody's important to you, you make time for them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
Like you would never go a month without talking to your mother because she's important to you.
Oh yeah, she's very important. Like I said, not a month probably. I get frustrated if I don't talk to her at least a couple of times a week and everything, and she knows that. But yeah, definitely a month would be hard.
Because she's your mom and you love her.
Right.
And it's the same thing when you're with somebody, but you make time for them. And that's when like friends. I mean, how many friends come in and then they go, and it's like they're not friends anymore when they stop calling. Like they're not making time for you. And so like, okay, well I guess we're not really friends. Okay, next. And so yeah. Anyway. All right. It's been an interesting day. So yeah, clean the clutter. And there's clutter in your mind, there's clutter in your body, there's clutter in your house. And the more you clean one, it gets easier to clean the other. So as you clean your house, it clears the mind. As you clean your body, I'm telling you, this diet's not fun. There's a lot of food I miss. I do. But I feel so much better not having all that crap in my system. It's amazing. So, it's not about me being a size 2, me being a model. I don't really want the disease that's going to make me a size 2. I think that's what it would take. I don't want that. I don't want that disaster that would create that. But, it's really just about feeling good. And whatever the rest looks like is what it looks like. And having more energy, not being tired all the time, is all part of really truly self-care. Is what is really good for my body, not just what's easy and what's simple. So on that note, we will go to Can Do Spice because that's good for your body.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.